So what's happened since we last met? So, okay, we've got a lot of new people, but a lot of things have happened since we last met. So we got noticed on Twitter. We're now up to over 200 followers. We've had a great word of mouth response, and I think that's led to a lot of people attending tonight. We've had some great uploads onto YouTube from Phil, the videos. We've had some great LinkedIn posts from Phil as well for the Northwest Tester Gathering. And we've got lots and lots of newbies. We've fallen in love with this place even more. A lot of us have come and used this place since our last meetup. So Launch 22 does have co-working space outside. Some of the staff from Shop Direct do come and use that in their own time. And Shop Direct have actually hired this whole venue for one of their hackathons. And it was really good. So we've really fallen in love. And I think tonight, going up onto the roof terrace, we only decided to do that last night. And I think you'll agree that I think that was a great move, because it's a great feature of this setup. So what else has happened? Our videos got uploaded, and a big thanks to Phil and his wife again. See how many times I'm doing this now. Okay, so there's been a test bash in Brighton. So does anybody not know what test bash is in Brighton? It's all right to put your hands up, it's okay. Okay, so it's probably one of the leading test conferences in the UK, and it's been in Brighton for, I think, the last 4 years, 5 years. And it really is now one of the main events for any tester to try and get to. And that was on March the 11th this year, and it was really, really good. Usually has about 10 speakers, so they're usually up for half an hour at a time. And you always get some takeaways, and that's the main thing, isn't it, for a conference? So we had Test Bash in Brighton, and we had something called...
Manchester in October, Test Bash.
I'm coming to that, Phil. Man, put it away. We had something called hashtag NWEWT, which is the North... Where's Duncan?
Newt.
Yes, okay. Where's Duncan? Is he in the room? He's left the room. So Duncan hosted this, and what it basically was a deep dive into regression testing. A deep dive as in people gave up their weekends, booked into a hotel, and stayed in that hotel for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, and didn't leave until they discussed regression testing in depth. And these things happen all around the country. James, I believe you set up the LEWT, was it?
Yeah, LEW, the London Exploratory Workshop in Testing.
Yeah.
Was us, and it's been going about 10 years, I think.
Wow. So this was the first time we had it in Liverpool, and I think that's brilliant. So Duncan set up that. We have got people in the room. Anyone in the room attend? 3 hands, excellent, well done. So that's happened since last time we met. And Test Bash has been announced in Manchester. So 21st of October, get yourselves a ticket. It's run by Richard Bradshaw. On Twitter, he's known as Friendly Tester, although Tom may have a different name for him. I'm only joking. But I think you called him Not So Friendly Tester, but that's because he was challenging you, which I think is great, and that's what testers should do. So Richard Bradshaw is running that. It's got a great lineup. Duncan, who's still not in the room, is actually talking at that Test Bash. So if you can persuade your employers to get you to that Test Bash, it's going to be a good event. And of course, what happened since last time we met? Villa got relegated. I've only just recovered. And during the event, if you want to take pictures and tweet it, please do. If you want to give us some feedback at the end, there's going to be some feedback boxes, or you can go onto the meetup page and give us some feedback. But it's been enough of me wittering on now, hasn't it? I've gone yabba, 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 yabba for the last couple of minutes, and now it's time for the main event. It's time for our guest speaker. But before I bring them up on stage, look at this picture. This is from Manchester Tester Gathering, where James did that session.
We see that's exactly the same front row there.
Now, what I was going to say was, look how well James holds the room. He's tweeting his missus about going for lunch. He's looking at whatever lap dancing site is up and running. He's trying to pay attention, but he's looking at his phone thinking, what's he tweeting? So I am, of course, joking, because this session will be interactive. James's session in November was very interactive. Again, that was feedback from our first session. You wanted something a little bit more hands-on, a little bit more interactive. And I just want to point out as well that James doesn't get paid for this. None of our speakers do. They give up their own time to do this. And I think that alone deserves a round of applause for James Lyndsay.
So with all the elan of a ringmaster, I plug in my laptop. So I'm James. I got different feedback from Lee from Manchester. I need to put this on. I got feedback from a chap called Tom W. Is he in the room? Tom? Hey, Tom. So Tom wrote me a message and he said, that was great. I really enjoyed that. But I felt like we didn't learn anything.
Was Tom in that picture?
I don't know. He might have been texting. So this is also interactive, but it will have a component of lecturiness in it. But I will point out that I've been doing stuff all day to try and get information around and give people experiences. The idea is, I hope, that you have an experience and an opportunity to learn and discover. I'm not convinced I'm going to teach you anything. Sorry if that comes as a shock. But you are grown-ups and I am a grown-up, and actually teaching people by telling them shit doesn't work. You give them things to do. So we're going to do some stuff. Am I on? Yeah, I'm on. I'm going to put this up. That is the address to go to. I hope I've spelt it right. lpltg.workroomprods.com. My own thing, Twitter, is workroomprods, so you know that's my thing. My plug is the word I'm looking for. Now, quick question for you. How many of you have a device that is not a phone? You know, it's not this big. Nobody. We're all going to... Oh, yeah, excellent. Somebody's got a plastic MacBook. Good man. So, yeah, I don't know. And there's a tiny iPad over there. So I don't know how well this will work on a phone. Because this is testing. And there are some things you test on a phone that are phone things. And there are some things that you go out to test seriously. And every single one of you in here is going to run at least 1,000 tests by the end of the night. Do you think I'm kidding?
Yeah.
Well, every one of you have actually got access to this bloody thing. So go there. I hope it loads. I bumped my server up to a more beefy server last night. It took everybody last time. I hope it takes everybody this time. Have you got a vaguely pink-looking page?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the one? I don't know. I think it's launch 22. Yeah. You don't mind. You've got a poker set. So go there. It is a very simple page, simple bit of JavaScript. We won't be doing that straight off. The first thing I want to do is I want to play a game called Bring Me a Rock. And I want volunteers to help me play Bring Me a Rock, because that's what I want. Now, those volunteers don't have to do much, and I'm going to be nice to you. You're not volunteering to some bizarreness. I am going to stick a piece of paper on you, and I will keep a secret from you. Okay? So, I will probably also have more than one pair of volunteers. Have I got, let's see, what does the improvisation guy say? Tell me. I want 2 volunteers of above average intelligence, please. Earth to Liverpool.
We're all modest.
Yes, you are. I want 2 modest testers, please. Yes, please, thank you, thank you. If you want to come up, and you get a round of applause, you get a proper one, everybody. Hey! So, we're going to play a game called Bring Me a Rock. Now, Johanna Rothman came up with this game. And she said, this is a game you play with management. There are people who are from management in here, aren't there? So, there's a game you play with management. And management says to you, bring me a rock. And you do. You go out and you bring them a rock, and they go, oh, not that one. Oh, fuck. Sorry. I'm swearing on video, aren't I? Oh, dear. You bring them another rock, and this rock, and they go,
Thanks.
that's brilliant. What an excellent manager you are. I'd love to work for you.
It's heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy. But now, there has to be some feedback. So you two are going to play Bring Me a Rock. And I'm going to get both of you to turn around, please. So both of you turn that way. And I'm going to stick a bit, turn around. I'm just going to stick something on him. Okay, now, you guys can see this. As it happens, Liverpool is relatively empty of rocks. But this place is surprisingly filled with classical books. So I have some things down here which we will call books, but they're rocks for now. And we're going to play Bring Me a Rock. And you can all see the rock. I want you to turn around and have a look at what the rock is. See the rock?
Yes.
Okay, so you are the manager. Come stand this side of the table. And you, sir, sorry, sir, you're going to bring your manager a rock. And she's going to reject it or accept it with a simple yes or no, as managers do. So please, play Bring Us a Rock.
Okay.
No.
Okay?
Yeah. I like it.
Okay. So that's Bring Me a Rock. It's easy, isn't it? Is that difficult? So, yeah, there we are. No, so, but now, that's the first round of Bring Me a Rock. Second round. Would you turn around, please? Can you read that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, try not to stick your hair to your jumper. There we are. Right. Now then. Sir, do you want to turn around? You're the manager, and she's going to bring you a rock.
Okay.
Okay? So let's turn around, and we're going to play Bring Me a Rock again.
No. No.
What do you want? Do you want that?
Yeah.
Great, lovely, that's fine. So that's the second round of Bring Me a Rock. We'll play another round of Bring Me a Rock. Are you two happy being on?
Yeah.
Are you two happy oh, thank you very much. That's lovely. Saves me appealing for two more foolish testers. Right, I realise that you can probably see that. So we're going to play another game of Bring Me a Rock. If you both turn around, I'll stick it. So, so you can. Oh. On the laser display screen. Sir, stuck on you. Lovely, you can't see that. Everybody will play another game of Bring Me a Rock. Bring Me a Rock. This is how it works. Now, you're going to give him a little bit more feedback this time. Okay, so rather than just yes, no, a little bit more feedback. Sir, time to play Bring Me a Rock.
I'd like something a little less colourful.
Okay.
No, that's the next Bring Me a Rock thing, you self-referential meta-tester.
I might want to fall asleep after looking at it.
Good feedback.
Taxation.
That's exactly what I want.
Perfect. Lovely. So we're going to play another round of Bring Me a Rock, and if you like, you can go off after this and I'll have another person on. Are you okay playing? All right.
Okay.
All right. Okay. One more round. Can we Bring Me a Rock? Yeah. Cool. We like these people. They're good. Now, there we are. Okay. So, again, you're allowed to give feedback, and I'm going to let you see what. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, let's start playing Bring Me a Rock. Yes, you can turn around.
I want something.
Yeah, I'd like a book.
What kind of book would you like?
Surprise me.
Do you want an early night?
Oh!
Spoilers. No, I want something good. Maybe a different one.
Would you like something about fighting?
No.
Can Can I just give you whatever I want? Or if I make you have that?
Yeah, I'll have that.
Cool.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Now, thank you. That's great. Good playing and bring me a rock. Turn around again. Turn around. Now, do you see where we're going with this, audience? Do you see where we're going? So, what's my next one I've got here? Okay. So, there we are. That's yours. Now I'm going to get you to turn this way so that your colleague can read what she wants. There we are.
Ooh.
Ooh. You say shit, I'm looking at these things thinking, damn, all my notices are stuck together and you can read them and it's not, yeah. No. Right. I've not thought this through.
Okay. You can probably turn around.
Yeah, you can turn around. Feedback is good on this one.
I'm going to go for something that hasn't got text on the front of it.
Oh.
It's probably just like one behind the plants.
It's still a book. Okay. Thinking out outside the box there.
That'll do.
Yeah. That'll do.
Yeah, that's fine. That's perfect.
Okay, that's good. That one went well. Lovely. Stick it back. We'll play Bring Me a Rock again. We've got another 2 to go. You'll be all right. Can you stand it for another 2? Audience, can you stand it for another 2? Yeah. Now, as the audience, you may well be feeling the need to hack the process somewhat. Spin round. Thank you. Oh, that's not going to go well. Right. So, I'm going to leave you there. I'll get your manager to turn around so you can see what he's going to ask you. You're going to have one of those.
Oh, okay.
So, let's play Bring Me a Rock.
Okay.
Don't give her any feedback until she's made a choice.
Okay.
What would you like?
I can't give you feedback.
That's the way management works.
Can I give you all to you?
My manager told me.
Can I give you all of the things?
I'll pause that. That is the point. That's the hack that most of you have been thinking, oh, just give them the table! Am I right? A bunch of you thinking, give the man the table.
Flip the table.
Because it's got all the books. Testing played, thank you, oh, sorry, applause for our excellent. That was not a book. And then we've got 2 books. And then we've got 1 book in less than 5 seconds. Exactly. You've got beer, you've got phone. Thank you very much. Okay, lovely. So, I want that interaction to make you think a little. Sometimes when we're looking for a problem, I'm taking the piss out of managers. It's not right. It's a hard, well-paid, short-hour. No, it's. I don't wish to take the piss out of managers because ultimately they're the ones who say, James, can you come in and teach our testers? So, the Bring Me a Rock game is very boring. It's no fun to play in the real world, particularly if you don't get feedback. So you need lots of feedback. Now, the problem with testing is sometimes you're playing Bring Me a Rock with the system. You go, what if I do this? Still works. What if I do this? Still works. What if I do this? Still works. I want it to be wrong. I want it to give me something interesting. And you're playing Bring Me a Rock with the system too often. Now, I want to go on the record, just in case people are surprised. Exploratory testing without tools of some sort or another is generally weak and slow. It is not a great idea unless you have a tool that is fit for purpose. Now, your brain is an excellent tool and generally pretty fit for purpose, but it's not all it can be. So we need to use some other things when we're testing so that we're not playing Bring Me a Rock with our system. Now, that naturally introduces a few restrictions. If you say, I don't want to give you 1 test, I want to give you the whole table full of books, I want to give you everything, see how you cope with it. It's a weird kind of test. It misses stuff. It feels like you would get it, but you wouldn't. So, let's have a quick look. Bring Me a Rock. If we gave somebody the whole table, they'd have accepted it. Give somebody the whole table, they'd have accepted it. Give somebody the whole table, they'll have accepted that. 1 book smaller than the one before. that particular case, Bring Me a Rock wouldn't have been satisfied by giving somebody the whole table. So if you give a system that you're trying to test a massive set of stimuli, it might just not bother give you anything useful back, because what's interesting is not the thing, but the sequence of the thing. Or perhaps, where's my 5 seconds? Or perhaps the timing of a thing. Or perhaps if all you do is hand over books, it turns out that the interesting thing is not what you think might be interesting or indeed possible at all. So if you play Give Me a Rock with your computers and your system to test it, it doesn't work terribly well. And if you decide to give your computer or your system every possible rock you can imagine, it still doesn't work well, but it does work a bit. And I think that because it works a bit, we should know about doing it. So, and this is where we get to the less interactive bit, I'm going to show you some things, and then you're going to test some things. How much time have I been on for long?
No idea.
No, nor have I. I didn't look at my watch when I did. Yeah, like I'm the right person. What time are we finishing? All right. So, I love it when I get back chat from the organisers. That's great. I'm coming straight back. Yeah, no, it's good. So let me zoom in. Zoom. All right, don't zoom then. Zoom. There we go. So, Bring Me a Rock. I'm going to show you some things that I think are interesting. These are tests that are... I ought to really stand up rather than drive from down here. What's this? This is Mike Bostock. No, Mike Bostock wrote D3. D3 is a fabulous visualization algorithm. And Mike Bostock spent a bit of time visualizing randomization. And the way he visualized randomization was to say, I shall take a deck of 30 cards and I shall shuffle it. And I'll find out whether the card that starts in position 0 is likely to end up in position 0 or position 29 or anywhere in between. Now that's what random... That's I've missed a whole sentence out. What should happen is that card 0 doesn't care after a shuffle where it was. It shouldn't matter where it was. It should be evenly distributed. Card 0 should end up with roughly even probability in the same place it started and at the end and everywhere else. But Mike Bostock found that that was not so with some algorithms that are taken. If we'd have a look at a particular algorithm here called Fisher-Yates, which those of you who deal with gaming, you should know about this in randomization. I'm guessing you probably do. So Fisher-Yates works. It works because that's a nice grey picture. We've randomized, I think in this, because I've modified it from Bostock's, but I think there's something like 10,000 shuffles. And this is the net product of 10,000 shuffles. After 10,000 shuffles, we can see that actually, it's pretty grey. It's pretty boring. There's pretty much nothing there. We can refresh for another shuffle and dum-de-dum. Oops, should have gone Fisher-Yates. So Fisher-Yates tells us that it works, but sort by random comparator was what Microsoft used when Microsoft was told to randomize the choice of browser that you get when you install Windows. It's a stupid algorithm. It's a stupid algorithm because it's not random. But it reveals some stuff and it is used as a randomization algorithm. What happens here in Safari is that cards that were in 28 and 29 in their shuffle ended up most often in positions 0 and 1 and 2, and very rarely in positions 28 and 29. That's what this green to red means. That's what that randomization looks like. Now, how many of you got a phone? Have a look at this on your phone. What does it look like? Fisher-Yates. See if I can fire up Chrome or Firefox. Looks the same if you're on an iPhone, possibly. Anybody on an Android phone?
On Android, it's mostly grey with little speckles.
Mostly grey with little speckles. That's good. That's with random comparator. Shall I show you what it looks like on Firefox? Oh, I've nearly lost it. There we are. There's Firefox. That's what it looks like on Firefox. There's no... Yeah, you've got something weird on your Android phone. There's no change in code. You need to run, thank you, yes, that's the kind of thing it looks like. It looks all weird. Where it's green, that's where stuff ends up more. Where it's red, it ends up less. So things are likely to end up where they started, but also a little bit displaced. It's weird, isn't it? So, sir.
Sorry, James. Because of the nature of like how algorithms work,
Yeah.
because it's the computer deciding the numbers, isn't
Yeah.
there? Basically, there's no such thing as true randomness, is there? You can only have like external stuff, like it measures the weather and it bases the truth.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can grab hold of a bit of entropy as your seed.
Yeah.
That's what they talk about. Take some entropy. We don't have enough entropy left in this server because we've taken too many random numbers. I understand it as a physicist.
Yeah.
So, but no, this is not truly random. But what it is truly awful. Because random, as we've seen, is grey. Safari is kind of grey-ish. This is Firefox. It's red and green-ish. It's not just an awful randomization. It's also an awful it's an awful algorithm. It's a stupid algorithm for making a random choice. But the point is that you can't see that it's stupid until you run thousands upon thousands of tests. Whenever you're dealing with a distribution, you need to run thousands and thousands of tests, and you need to interpret them. You generally need to visualize it. Let me show you something else. If I go back to my own thing, this is something I wrote a while ago. There are my tests. It's something that takes a pixel value and says that's the color. Let me have a quick check. This is what it should look like. So here is blackish, that's the result. It's black, here's reddish, that's red. This is something I wrote to scan through the algorithm because what I'm showing you there is a square which is roughly 100 on each side, so that's roughly, 10,000 tests. And I'm pulling this through another 100, so that's 1 million separate tests you're seeing visualized there, all in one. And you get a feel for what it's doing. And you get a feel for, that was what my algorithm was doing originally. It passed its checks. It passed all the checks that I gave it, and I gave it a few, but that is what it's actually doing. Until I rank my 1 million or so tests, I can't see what's wrong. Now, it doesn't mean that 900,000 tests is pointless, and I might be able to do it with a few hundred tests. My point is, you need, on some occasions, loads and loads and loads of very, very, very stupid tests. You need loads of measurements. Your test stops looking like, I put this value in and I got it out, and starts looking like, I asked for the picture and the picture came back. I asked for the distribution came back. And then the skill of testing, the skill of test design, looks like, give me a range, give me an input, give me things to play with, give me stuff that I can interact with, and let me interact with it massively over that range. Let me deal with the distribution. Do I want to take little bits or big bits? Do I want it randomly spread out, or do I want it spread out so it's very heavy here and very light over there? Those questions are interesting, and interesting to test designers. I don't see them covered in the literature. I don't particularly see them covered when I go to people's work. So I've been teaching it for a bit, and one of the things I find is that people find it very difficult to generate this data. It's not difficult if you go into Excel. But hey, who's got Excel on their phone? So here we've got something where I've built an algorithm. It's a very bad algorithm. I've built an algorithm to turn meters into other things. Now what it's doing here is clearly converting meters into meters. It's not terribly interesting. How would you build 1,000 rows to test this? Where would you start? Where would you finish? We're starting at 9 meters. We're going up in 1,000 steps at 7 meters. Does that sound sensible? No, of course not. So give me a sensible one. Let's try.
-1 to however many.
Okay. Well, now you see, this is interesting because you've got a test thought there that you've not finished. I'm sorry to hit you with that one. But it was that, I don't know how many. That's
However many you define.
So we've got 1,000. So you're going to go
-1 to 999.
-1 to 999. So we're going to ask what length -1 is. So that's an attack, isn't it? Yeah. Minus what we've got here. Yeah. Start with an invalid value, and then what's the rest of your 999 going to look like? Let's imagine that. -1. The next one's going to look like 0. Oh, so we're going to go up in steps of 1. That's okay. Is that the most interesting test? It is. It is. What you're going to find is, without any particular surprise, there we are. We've gone from 1 to a lot, but we've started off with 2 funnies. We've started off with 2 funny things there. 2 things that are genuine bug. Genuine bug as in, I know they're there, but I left them in. -1 meter is just over some enormous number of nanometers, and 0 meters is 0 nanometers. How many bugs have we got? 2 bugs. Now, we could have found that with your first value. That's no problem at all. But now we can dig into that. We can dig into this business of there's something going on around 0 nanometers. Actually, what are we talking about with 0 anythings? Should 0 have a value? Maybe we should ask that question of somebody. And here we go negative, it goes into nanometers. The algorithm appears to be not working back there. Now, this is your job. I want you to dig into this. There's lots and lots of bugs in here. How do I know there are lots and lots of bugs in here? Because I finished writing it at 6:25. So lots and lots of bugs. There are lots of interesting different kinds of bugs. I would like you to play and to find problems. I'd like you to get into groups. When you start seeing things, start telling each other about it. When you've told a few people and they've verified it and you've maybe dug into it a bit more and you've talked about another test idea and you've dug into it a bit further and you know a bit more about it, then tell me. So dig into this. I'm hoping you can do this on a phone. I'm also hoping, I kind of imagine that it's going to work better that way round than that way round. I don't know about yours, but mine works better that way. Okay, so have a look. See what you can find. Big one?
Shall we consider that a bug?
If you like, yeah. But what we've got here is build 1,000 rows of stuff. You can test the website if you like. The website's not interesting. I want you to be interested in 1,000 tests. Be interested in 1,000 tests. Not in, oh, I've got a problem with the website, I don't like the pink. 1,000 tests. Because I think the testers are shy of this and I want to be shown that I'm wrong. 1,000 tests. Find there's 2 sets of conversions in there. Have a look. You've got what you've got in there. Yeah, well, that's no surprise, is it? In what way is A a number? Of course, it's not a number. This is a test generation thing. So, yeah, you've found that bug. Now move on to the 1,000 tests that are waiting for you to come and get them. I know that A is not a number. That's not a surprise. That's not part of your 1,000. That's a distraction. It's a distraction. So try not to be too distracted by that. That's boring testing. Go do 1,000 tests. I'm going to come over here. We know that A is not a number. We know that. You need 1,000 tests to find out interesting things. But that's not a, that's a great attack, but you're done with 1.
I've found 3 bugs already.
Found 3, that's good. That's good. It's not that I want to know them, I want to be able to reveal how we found them.
Yeah.
So how did you find your bugs?
Well, put 0 to 3 first off.
Yeah.
And I got way more results than I needed.
Yeah. Well, you've got 1,000. That's the opportunity you've got. So talk to the people around you about what you're finding. You guys were doing very well. What have you found?
I had something about football pitch, but from national.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. So there's lots of different units in there. 1 set of meters and 1 set of not. You want to have a look around the edges of what's going on with those. What's happening with these? Yeah. Now then, the test that I've been told of most is a number that is not a number is not a number. James, I put in A, it tells me it's Nan. Go from Bob to Nan, but my Nan's nowhere near Bob. That's cool. That's cool. You know that. You're testers. You know that A is not a number. You know that 0,1 is not a number. This does interesting things, this algorithm. It does interesting things. It looks to see whether you've got an exact value. Am I right? What do you do? What happens if it's not an exact value? Do you know?
If it's a decimal, it
Gives a
the same answer.
okay. So it gives a decimal. Is that true in all cases?
It rounds up after about 7 decimal places.
Rounds up what?
Rounds up the decimal.
Okay. You need to look into this. You're too distracted by the easy test that you already know. This is in as a distraction. This is in, I'm sorry about, I left it into, I thought they won't be distracted by that. You are distracted by that. Not a number is not a number. You're looking at 1,000 separate steps. You've got 2 sets of units. One set is boring, the other set is interesting. Have a look and see what happens around the changes in units. Have a look and see what happens when you find... Do you see that some of them say is, and others say is bigger than, and others say is smaller than? What happens around those? You see that sometimes you get a decimal place that's rounded and sometimes not. What's around those? Why, testers of the Northwest? Why are you concentrating on a not a number is not a number? You already know that. You're looking for new information, interesting information. Well, when I say interesting testers. So, give it another go. You've got another 3 or 4 minutes before I'll get a few things up here and then we'll do a puzzle, should you want a puzzle, and then I shall stop. So have a look. Dig into this. Design your tests, testers. Don't go easy on this thing. Putting in not a number is not a useful test. You know it's not a number. As you get to a point where the decimal places start to disappear, are you seeing a different behavior from very small to very large numbers? From very... Yeah. Okay. No, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for interesting behaviors. We're going to do another 3 minutes. And we'll talk about what you found, if you found things that are interesting. Interesting stuff. There are lots of distractions in here. Test it! Test it, testers! All right. So, there are some curious behaviors with this. There are some behaviors that shouldn't surprise us. NaN shouldn't surprise us. It's your input data. But the negative numbers comes up in nanometers. That's a surprise. Can't handle negative numbers. 0 comes up in nanometers as well. It's a surprise. Perhaps what it says to us is, well, what should we be measuring zeros in? Maybe whatever unit we put in, which is meters. I don't know. Seen some other funny ones. You guys over here, you tried putting in minus 482.39 with a step of 614.8. Something like that. Now it's important that you know those numbers and remember those numbers, because what they got out was, I don't know and I don't care, but then 11 zeros and a 3. 11 zeros and a 3 from 2 numbers to 2 decimal places. Now, some of you know what that is. Am I right? Some of you know what that is? In that case, it's a surprise to you. Is that interesting to dig into? We've got something going on up here. Excuse me, I'll just flip over that way. That way, that way. I don't know where it is. Right. 0.1. 0.01. There we are. That's weird, isn't it? What's happened there? Do you know? 15.59, 15.60, many zeros and a 1. This has got not many zeros, but lots of 9s. Comes out of nowhere. What is that?
It's zero.
Big one?
It's zero flow.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Actually, I don't know what you've just said. But yeah, you can't store some of those numbers. And if testers don't know that, and I asked, if testers
go for very large numbers of kilometres, it changes things. Now, how do you find that? How do you find that? How do you span across a range? If I tell you that this range goes from very small to very large, how do you generate the test data to deal with it? Do you generate it step by step, in steps of 1? What's the largest unit you found? Anyone? Yep, megaparsec, that's cool. What's the smallest unit you found? You've seen it, it's the one attached to 0. It's not that small. It's a nanometer. Yeah, and well, infinity is not a unit, infinity is a bone of the algorithm inside the ground. So this thing does units from nanometers up to megaparsec. And there are some funny boundaries. I think kilometres end up with different decimal places to metres. Have you looked into that? Did you notice? These are rhetorical questions. Some of you looked, some of you did notice. Most of you noticed some of these things, but not everybody noticed everything. Easy to get distracted. This is the thing about the many, many tests. This is why we play Bring Your Rock first. It is very attractive and very interesting to give an algorithm either a massive attack, he says, quoting an excellent fan, but either an attack, which is easy, or just a massive bunch of numbers that you've no idea what's there. And if you go from 0 to a megaparsec, in units that fit into thousands, you'll miss everything out. You start designing your tests to work in different chunks, or take a different distribution algorithm. You could take an exponential algorithm to this. You could take a random distribution, see what turns up with that. Your test design is crucial when you're doing bulk testing. This is what you've got here. You've got 1,000 tests, each with 1,000 tests, each the same distance apart. That's not appropriate for this particular problem. So you have to design your test to deal with the situation you found, which is, you might want to do a small set, bigger set. 1 to 1,000, and you span 3 orders of magnitude. 1 to a megaparsec, you've got, I think, nanometer to megaparsec, you've got about 25 orders of magnitude. So you could potentially run maybe 10 tests, and you'd cover everything within that. It's not that hard to run 10 tests. What's hard is to go through the thought process beforehand that says, I have to think about this as a design question for me as a tester. So, that's the end of this workshop. I've given you a fun thing to play with, but at the heart of it holds a difficult testing challenge. I'm rather impressed with how some of you, many of you, have risen to that. I hope you don't mind me stopping you with the not a number thing, because I don't want you to do that in work. I want you to remember that really clearly. Tom? Yeah, there are learning things going on. Remember it really clearly, because the experience of, why can't I attack this? Of course you can attack this, but there's more interesting things elsewhere. So, that's the process of design for bulk tests. My guess is, if you find a place to do your bulk testing on your own workshop, in your own work, you will find a better distribution. You will find a wider set of tests. You will think back to this moment and you'll go, I can kill this thing off in one hit, but my one hit is going to take 1,000 separate plays and it's going to tell me what I did. So, next time you come across something that can take it, hit it very hard with 1,000 tests. Thank you very much.